Hi guys, it's a very beautiful Monday to start the first episode of Between the Lines with Tegan. Yep, I'm your ambitious media girl and I really can't wait to tell you what we have to do today. So let's take this breather and I'll be right back. Welcome right back. It's still Between the Lines with Tegan. So we're going to look at the definition of idioms and proverbs, the similarities and the differences, and the context of use and the purpose. So let's start with the definition. Idioms are figurative phrases or expressions. It can be just one word, two words, or three. So an example can be carry weight. That's just two words coming together to form an idiom. Proverbs are short sayings expressing wisdom. An example could be a stubborn fly follows the corpse to the grave. All right, so let's look at other similarities and differences. First on my list is the length and the structure. Idioms, like I said, are short phrases. Then proverbs are complete sentences. So an example, kick the bucket. That's for idiom. We also have to blow hot or cold. Then for proverb, we could have a bird in hand is worth two in the bush. So we could see that the idioms are short. They're shorter. Then the proverbs are complete sentences. The second one is cultural relevance. Idioms are unique to specific languages that vary between cultures. Then proverbs are influenced by culture that conveys universal truths or wisdom that resonates with different societies, right? That's why we have African proverbs that when you say it almost anywhere, we Africans can relate to it. The third on my list is literal and figurative meaning. Idioms always have figurative meaning that cannot be taken literally. An example is, let the cat out of the bag. It means revealing a secret, right? That's the meaning of that idiom. Revealing a secret, not necessarily releasing an actual cat from the bag. Proverbs have literal meaning that aligns with the intended message. An example, honesty is the best policy, meaning you're encouraging truthfulness, so it's easier to decode the intended message. The fourth on my list is the purpose. Idioms are used to add color. You use it to embellish your sentences. You use it to add color and beauty to it. For proverbs, it conveys an advice or a truth. So let's look at the usage and context of idioms. Idioms are used in everyday speech or creative writing. That's where you commonly find idioms. For proverbs, you find proverbs in speeches, in teachings, and in reflections. So most times someone is teaching you and he wants to pass a heavy message or he wants to pass wisdom. He uses proverbs to do that, and it settles in almost quickly. Or when the person wants you to reflect on what he's saying, proverbs come in to help drive home the message, right? It's just like the icing to the cake in some cases. Let's look at when to use proverbs and idioms. Idioms mostly are used in informal and conversational settings. When to use proverbs, we use proverbs to share wisdom, offer advice, or key emphasis on universal truths. Let's take this breather and I'll be right back. All right, welcome back into the show. So this is the last segment where we get to look at things to consider before using idioms and proverbs. You don't just wake up and decide to use idioms just like that for the fun of it. You use idioms because you've understood the meaning before you can use it. So you consider your audience. Would they get the message, or do you want to use idioms because you want to prove a point? Thirdly, avoid overuse because it turns it to like cliche and it's unoriginal. You've used this thing severally, so what's new? What are you telling us? There was a time when I was in school, there was this particular idiom I loved to use. My English teacher had to cut me one in some sort. She was like, she doesn't want to see me using this idiom because it's already cliche and she already knows me with that idiom. We all know balance is key. No one is saying do not use idioms, but do not overuse it. And lastly, practice them, especially in context. I love it when people use idioms and try to attribute it back to me. They'll be like, particularly you try to make me want to practice. And that's the best way. It's not a one-off thing. All right, so this is where the show comes to a wrap. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for staying tuned. And thank you for listening. And please do well to like, share, follow, and subscribe to Between the Lines with Tegan. See you next time. Bye.